to go. And then later on in content area, we'll then start to identify things to help them along their journey. But we'll get there in a second. So uh, as far as the first app, understanding the audience and identifying them, these are kind of things that we've kind of produced to help gather that information. So these are kind of persona type documents where basically we want to kind of know as much as we can about the audience, as much as it's relevant to the website that we're producing. And the next set was then the stories. So basically we use documents like this to track their progression from their current situation to their end goal. And at the top we kind of list out the things that they need to do in real life to achieve that goal. So here comes the content inventory aspect of it, and this is about identifying content that'll help our audiences achieve their goal in their story, and inventorying that content. So we have basically a list of all content, and by content I mean text, functionality, multimedia, graphics, anything that fills the website. We want to have an inventory of that. So then we could kind of catalog and track the progression of the development of all those separate content pieces. So this first half will show you the identifying content phase. So at the top half, we've kind of told the story of how in this scenario a patient situation is and how that patient receives medication. And at the bottom, we've identified all the different pieces of content, or anything we could message to them or do for them to help them along their path. And then this other document is the content inventory, and this is where we just kind of take each one of those pieces of messages and start giving them attributes. What's the page name? What's the purpose of the page? Who's the content owner? Is there functionality on the page? We could add n number of attributes along the list of content. The next area is sitemap. And basically this is a high-level representation of the navigational structures, web pages, and functionality of a website. So it's kind of looking at, if literally it's the map of your website laid out in boxes and arrows. And we've seen these before. I mean, they look like things like this, where you see a structure of pages and functionality and things like that. So this helps us to see the kind of overall hierarchy of the different elements and sub pages and pages that have functionality, even pages that are future phase. And then we have wireframes, and this takes it to a page level. So they're kind of prototypes of key page templates, and we annotate them with functionality specifications. These are one of the pages that the development teams will use to then develop the website off of. So we've seen these before. I put this slide up here first because just to put for bigger projects, here's a table of contents, and you see how many how many pages of wireframes there are in this document. Now this is of course beyond the scope of small to medium sized websites, but as you can see the wireframes, depending on how crazy you get, can get really long. So the last document is experience brief, and this is more on the lines of overview document. It basically encompasses all the previous documents that we've talked about so far, and it adds a little bit of context to give the reader an understanding of the logic and rationale that went behind all these documents. So with experience briefs, you'll not only see the sitemaps and wireframes and audience personas and things like that, but you'll also see things that guide our concepts here. So it's basically making the architecture easier to communicate in a presentation. So those are all the documents that we use in the IA process. The next is reviews. Because so many different people are involved in the decision making of a website. And everyone needs to be able to see them, understand them, make feedback on them, and ultimately give it the thumbs up. Say, all right, this is cool with me. I like this. We're ready to move forward with that. And that's pretty much what it is. It's moving forward towards a team consensus. Um, Christine had mentioned it in the previous presentation, our client lounge, and this is what this is an example of one of our projects, and this is where basically all the architecture documents will kind of culminate for the audience. So everybody on the project team who has input, reviewing, approving responsibilities all have access to this. So at any given point in time, they'll always have access to the latest documents. This is our distribution channel. All right. So how does the actual process work? What happens first, second, and third type of thing? And that's what I'll talk about next. And you see the kind of three phases of the architecture process, and they pretty much mirror my definition of information architecture. So the three phases are audience and goals. So understanding the business and the audience, that's pretty much the first step. Content organization. So it's it's starting to draw out those blueprints that we've talked about, identifying the content, organizing the content into a site structure, and organizing key pages and layouts with that content. And then final blueprints, this is where we kind of have an understanding of everything, and everything is pretty much done, and we want to pretty much get final approval and kind of move on to the next phase of the website lifecycle. So I'll talk about the audience and goals first. So the first thing that happens is there's a brainstorm number one. And in brainstorm number one, the objective is to understand the audience and the website and business goals. This happens with the entire team, including the customer, including their vendors, including any other departments that will support their website. And this should be an in-person meeting. It will be filled with very interesting exercises and discussions that'll help us really nail down who the audience and the business goals are.